We'll begin with Rick Russo, Rob Lewis, and Billy Witz.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. What has the week been like so far up there in Indianapolis? Got there Monday, and what's the update on John Fulkerson right now?
Well, we are definitely in the NCAA bubble, and they have got this thing, I think, locked down the way you would expect it to be, doing everything, from the time that we've gotten off the bus, arriving here to the way we went through the protocol to get settled in, and how we are starting to get settled in. And again, John is day by day, and again, that's where we are with that.
Coach, I'm sure you're deeper into the Oregon State scout this week, and looking at their stats for the season, they were not a great 3-point shooting team, but they shot the eyes out in Las Vegas. What did you see differently from them over that 3-game stretch?
Well, they, again, really well coached team. They have a lot of different sets they like to run, and you're right, they shot the lights out, making really going from 7 in the regular season up to 10, 11 in the conference tournament. Balanced inside game. They got a very strong inside game, good size, and active post players, and their guards, obviously, the rim's big to them right now. And they shot it well. They played well. They played hard. It looked like to me they really extended their defense to get more aggressive that way. Again, what I've watched, I watched a couple games with them, obviously, but just impressed that right now, this time of year, Rob, they're playing great basketball. They're playing their best basketball of the year, and for them to do what they did to get here is really something to be proud of.
Go ahead, Billy Witz.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Billy.
One of the quirky things about this bracket is there's a lot of schools that are whose colors is orange, and I think the way the bracket's laid out, you could get to the Final Four by just playing teams that have orange. It's kind of, in a way, do you ever? I mean, when you play something like that or play teams like that, do you ever worry about passing to the wrong color?
No, I mean, no, because there will be, different color, I've had to adjust to the orange a little bit. I've had 3 different schools with orange, and, I can tell the difference when I'm having, move from place to place. But no, there'll be a team with a light uniform on normally and one with a dark uniform on. But I don't think there's any problem with that.
Okay. And just with, I think for the last 27 years, you've coached at a school where their main color is orange. What does your closet look like? How many orange sport coats do you have, and how many orange ties?
Well, I have no orange sport coats. I haven't. I was given one when I first went to Clemson, which obviously I don't use now. I had a burnt orange one that I don't use, and I don't have a Tennessee orange, which I've never been big into that, to be quite honest with you. I've never wanted the attention to be on me or our staff when we go out to coach a game. But the fact is, orange is a good color. I mean, I like it, and the one I'm wearing now is my favorite. And so that part's really good. And you mentioned to me about us being concerned about throwing it to orange. Sometimes I'm just concerned about it. I'm just hoping we just throw it to ourselves. If we can do that, I'll be happy.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Mike Wilson, Nicholas Hill, and Vince Ferrara.
Yeah, Rick, Oregon State's a team that commits a lot of fouls, especially given how few possessions they play with. Is that something you've tried to hammer into guys like Eve and Keon, is how much success they might be able to have in getting to the line in this game?
Well, I think it's always important, Mike, to get to the line. I really do that. But I also think in this game, it's very important not to let them get there, because they've got terrific shooters. That shoot a very high percentage from the free throw line. And so, every game, it regardless of who we've played, we've always tried to put an emphasis on trying to get there, not only to give us a chance to score, but also a chance to put fouls on teams and try to hopefully get to their bench. But that's important in every game for us. And I would say that looking at their free throw shooters, a couple of them that shoot a high percentage, they'll try to do the same thing to us.
Coach, kind of going off the last question, Oregon State coming into this game is ranked 315th in the country in adjusted tempo. Do you think it is important for you guys in this game to try to push the tempo? And do you think that'll be a significant factor in the outcome of this game?
Well, we always try to force tempo. We're always trying to push it. Again, once the game starts, I'd like to think right now that, yeah, we could play it the way that we'd like to play it, but games aren't like that. You've got to adjust when things get going, and foul trouble, different guys coming in the game can alter the way you play. You've got to be able to make those adjustments, but there's no doubt that we, as a team, we like to get out and go, and we need to do a better job in open court situations. We had some opportunities in our last game out that we didn't convert in those situations, and we need to do that. If we're going to get out and go like that, we need to make sure we're going to get something on the other end.
Rick, there was a stretch during the season where you guys were really relying on Jaden to really score for you guys. And I know he does so many other things for you. And you mentioned he wasn't maybe feeling his greatest there for a stretch of games. How would you describe how Jaden's playing right now?
I think, first of all, he's working hard defensively, and he does that. We need him to do that too, but we need him to be aggressive on offense. We just need our guys, Santi, Keon, those guys to stay on not to jump to make passes, and get themselves in trouble. We've got to cut down our turnovers. It's simple. I mean, we've got to do that. And sometimes our opponent has something to do with it. More times than not, we've put ourselves in some tough situations where we try to do too much and, turn the ball over. And this time of year, you can't. I mean, I don't think you can at any time, to be quite honest with you. And you go back to the games that we haven't played well, it's when we've turned it over. And we're fortunate in our last game, we had 19, but Alabama had 17. But we've got to do a much better job of taking care of the ball.
Jerry Tipton, Andre Monroe, and Trey Wallace.
Yeah, Rick, I wonder how the guys are spending their time in the bubble, how much time in the room, and what coaching concern is there with an extended period in a bubble?
Jerry, it's tough, as you would imagine, but we understand why we're doing what we're doing. I think, to be quite honest and frank, do you feel bored? Everybody, I do think that. I think every chance we get now to get out, whether it's to go back, to a court and shoot at some point in time, or get outside, and we will be allowed to get out today for the first time since we've been here, to go for a little walk. But it's been tough. It has been. I mean, and you think about it, we still got another day to go, but the fact that we're out and moving, but today will be the first time that we actually walk outside since we've been here.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach, when discussing Oregon State, you mentioned they finished as strong as any team in the country. Can you go more in depth about that matchup against Oregon State and what makes them a tough team to play?
Say that again, please.
Yeah. So when discussing Oregon State, you mentioned they finished as strong as any team in the country. Can you go more in depth about that? What makes them a tough team to play?
Well, I'm impressed with their balance. I think that they've got some post players that I really like the way they play. They're aggressive, and I like what they do. I think that it's a team that has truly, they understand where they are, their roles on what needs to be done. I think the guys that they need to shoot, they do a good job of getting them involved, and they do a nice job of, I think, just everybody understanding exactly what their role is. And they do have an inside-outside game, and they'll mix their defenses. They're going to play 2-3 majority of the time, underneath the basket on out-of-bounds plays. They'll do a 2-3 and they'll match out of it, and they'll play man-to-man. And like I said earlier to start with, and they can do a little combination press, tempo type press if they want to at 3/4 court. So, they have something there. If they get behind it, they can extend it, and they 1-3-1, everything that we've seen all that this year. And, but I don't think that we're going to show them anything they haven't seen, because once you go through a year of conference play, you get to see a lot of different things. But it's just the fact that I think this time of year, you look at how well they're playing and what they had to do, and you really think about the mindset they had to get to get into this tournament. They knew they had to go to Vegas and win, just plain and simple, and they did it. And and they did it by what it looks like to me. they shot the ball well. They did that. They still got what they needed from their post players, and defensively they made it tough on those three opponents. When you think about UCLA and you think about Colorado, and then beating your in-state rival all in 3 days, that's quite impressive.
Rick, how has, since the Alabama game, we saw Euros get a lot of minutes in that game as well, how has the bench been over the last 4 to 5 days? I know y'all had a bunch of shoot arounds and whatnot in Nashville before you got to Indianapolis, and then you had practice already. You're gonna have to rely on your bench against Oregon State. How do you think they've responded, especially over the last 2 to 3 weeks?
Well, again, I think the fact that we've got a good group. I've said that, and I told you I was really proud of what those guys were ready. They were ready to go when we went to Nashville, and that we know this time of year all hands have to be ready to go. And through once we went over Sunday, and they wanted they wanted to get in the gym. They wanted. Normally we wouldn't have done that, but they wanted to do it. And the main thing I think was they wanted to get out, do some things. And so we let them lead us a little bit here. And because we do think the most important thing right now, this time of year, is the mental side of it, where guys are chomping at the bit, ready to go. And I don't think there's any question that every team in here right now wishes we were playing tomorrow. I think every team, because of being in the bubble and doing that. And, we've all been, doing what we've done all year, but we still got another day, 2 days before we actually tip it off. But our guys, they seem to be in a good place. Other than, I do know this, they're looking forward to getting outside. I do know that.
Grant Ramey.
Rick, you guys didn't have much tournament experience on this roster when you went to Nashville. Were you impressed with how your guys handled themselves there? And do you think the basketball that was played there had an NCAA tournament feel to it?
No doubt the games that we played in there were high level, felt NCAA type games. There's no question about that. I thought both of our opponents and our guys fought their hearts out, understanding that how every possession, there's a premium put on each one of them, and you've got to fight for each and every one of them. Not going to play perfect, but you got to play hard. And, Florida played hard. We played hard. Alabama played hard. And this time of year, teams aren't going to still be playing if they don't play hard, plain and simple. And Oregon State plays hard. They play hard, or they wouldn't be where they are right now. But I was impressed, Grant, in the fact that I thought our guys in the last week, going back to the, really week and a half probably before we got to Nashville, the prep, this mentally were guys gotten really locked in, asking questions during the scout, all those type things. And so that part of it, would we be further along if we had played a regular season like I think everybody would? You go back and look at, from the beginning, the exhibition game we didn't play, the scrimmage we didn't play, and then I think we were down 6 non-league games. And so, yeah, I was impressed with the way our guys, their approach to the last really 2 weeks have been.
Last question for Coach goes to Trey Wallace.
Rick, have you talked to other coaches inside the bubble? I'm sure you have, but are you guys worried any type of way these guys have just been in their hotel rooms, and then hotel rooms to convention center, how they're going to react getting into a gym and getting going when their games start?
Yeah, because you know what, to be quite honest, I mean, it's a grind right now, what we're doing. I mean, we haven't done this all year. I don't think we've been locked in like we have from the time we got off the bus on Sunday at around 5, 6 o'clock, something like that. I mean, Monday, 5 or 6 o'clock, and now it's Wednesday, and we can look out the windows, but we haven't been outside. So yeah. Do I think it's hard on? I think it's hard on everybody. I think it's hard on every team that's here. But I've said before, I think we got to give our players around the country and administrators for getting us to this point, knowing that when we got here, no one knew exactly what to expect. I think it's being done the very best way it can be done to try to make sure that things move the way they need to move. And with that said, is it difficult on everybody? I mean, it's different. Even all that we've gone through this year is, and I think that the SEC and everything that we've done has been terrific. But it's not like this. I mean, we're in a real bubble right now. Where, like I said, we have our floor. We walk from here down to our our eating room and back, and we didn't do that for the first 36 hours. But now, again, today will be the first time that we'll get to get outside and get a little fresh air.
Thank you, Coach. We'll have Josiah, Jordan, James in just a